guys, welcome back to The Fishing Teacher. Appreciate you guys coming by the channel and watching today's video. And guys, today I have got a really good video for frog fishing. I'm going to show you guys how to modify a frog to really double your bites and double the hookups that you get on your frog bites, because a lot of times you get bites on a frog and you lose them. A lot of times people struggle with getting bites on a frog, so I got some good tips and advice on not only how to modify these frogs, but where you want to fish them at and the ideal situation for frog fishing. It's pretty diverse. A lot of people have a real limited perception on what frog fishing is about, but it's a very diverse bait, so we're going to get into that today's video here. And also, guys, I'm going to be talking about the Megabass Big Gabot frog. Guys, this is the finest frog on the market. Megabass, attention to detail, second to none on this frog. Very easy to work side to side. So I'll put my Megabass Big Gabot link and my Tackle Warehouse link in the description of this video. If you guys would like to use my link to order one of the big Gabots or a couple of them, great way to support the channel and really appreciate that. And also, guys, real quick, Solar Bat has still got their spring sale on my Signature Series glasses right now, my RB2s and 3s. 30% off right now. If you use the promo code RandyB, you get free shipping and handling. So I'll put the link in the description for the Solar Bat sunglasses of my Signature Series if you guys would like to pick up a pair. So really appreciate you guys putting up the plugs there. Okay, guys, frog fishing is something that it got really popular about 20 years ago. Dean Rojas made the Spro frog famous. A lot of tournaments, like Ish Monroe won a bunch of tournaments on a frog. But in the advent of forward-facing sonar, it sort of fell by the wayside. But guys, a frog it's one of those baits that's never going to go out of style. Because I remember reading back like in the early 1970s, Bassmaster magazine, about the frog. They had frogs back then. They called them the plumber frog. So people have been catching bass on frogs forever, and as long as bass eat frogs, you can catch them on a frog. It is a very versatile bait. So I want to talk a little bit about, first of all, how I modify my frogs out of the package, and then, which will really help you out, and then talk about where you want to fish it. Okay, now here is a typical frog, the way the Big Gabot and the other frogs are straight out of the factory. They just got the uniform skirt that's pretty long here. Got two hooks that are fairly tight to the bait here. And you can catch fish like this, but let me give you a little bit of tips and advice on how. First of all, you want to cut about half of your skirt length off of here. What this is going to do, it's going to eliminate short strikes, and it's also going to give your frog better action, because a frog is designed to work side to side like a Zaraspook like that. And sometimes this extra length back here, it sort of impedes that side to side action. Now, people that fish a frog just straight through the water, like over matted vegetation, that's not really an issue. But I like to fish a frog with that walking action, so I'm going to take some of this rubber off. So what you want to do is take your scissors, and you want to come up about halfway. You don't want to cut it straight across, guys. You want to cut it, put your scissors at about a 45-degree angle, come up about halfway, and cut it at a 45 like that, both sides. So that's the way that's about how long you want it. You want about 1.5 inches long right there. That's going to give you a lot better action on the frog. Okay, the next modification you want to do is the hooks here. You want to bend them out a little bit. Now, the only exception to this, if you're fishing this frog over thick matted lily pads or vegetation, you don't want to bend the hook out because you're going to get snagged up. But if you fish a frog more around targets and open areas, this is what you want to do. Sorry that wind's blowing like 40 miles an hour out there, guys. It's really loud. Take your pair of pliers and just open it up probably about 1/8 of an inch or so, what I'm going to do. What this is going to do, see how it sets that hook above there? See how that hook point comes up like that versus the way it's flush right here? You want to take it and you want to bend that hook point up where it's sticking up. This is a very important modification, guys, that you want to make when you're fishing, the stuff that we're going to be talking about, is get those hook points where they're sticking up like that. That's going to increase your bite to land ratio right off the bat by 50%. And then the next thing you want to do, guys, is I take the same pair of pliers and I'm going to go through and I'm going to stretch the frog. I'm going to take these pliers and I'm going to pull it. And what this is going to do, it's going to break up some of those fibers in the rubber, and it's going to make it a lot softer. And the reason you want to do this is because the softer that frog is like that, the easier it is for those hooks to penetrate when that fish clamps down on that frog, because most frogs are a little bit stiff. So break this up. Just take a few minutes and just, you know, pinch it everywhere and just pull it and break it like that. And that's going to soften and stretch that rubber out and make it a lot better action with it. Okay, the next thing, guys, is let me get a rod here. I'm going to show you. The frog fishing, there's two different ways you're going to fish a frog. One is going to fish it, you know, around perimeter targets, you know, like around the edge of grass beds and edge of lay down trees and stumps. And then you're going to fish it over matted vegetation. A couple different ways that you want to fish it here we're going to talk about. If you're fishing it over matted vegetation, which a lot of people do, it's pretty straightforward. I'm usually going to use like a medium heavy bait cast rod. I usually have 30 to 40 pound test Seagar braided smackdown line on. I'll link all that stuff in my Tackle Warehouse link. And I'm just throwing it out there over the mat like that. And I'm just shaking my rod tip, reeling it slow like that. And if it gets in like a little opening, say it's matted and there's a little opening like this, I'll kill it in that opening, let it sit there, and I'll just shake it like that without reeling. And that frog's just sort of, you know, vibrating on the surface like that. A lot of times they'll come up and annihilate it. If you get a bite on a mat, let's say for example, you throw out there and you're working through that slop, one blows up on it like that, do not do anything. Don't set the hook. What you want to do is you want to make sure your line is moving out. Do not set the hook like you're fishing like that, boom, one blows it up like that. Just don't do anything, just freeze and wait for that line to start moving and for the frog to disappear. A lot of times when they blow up on it, they hit it with their mouth shut. So the frog is still going to be on the surface. So number one, make sure the frog is gone. Number two, wait for that line to start moving. You know the fish has it, and then set the hook on it. That's going to be the way you do it on the matted stuff. Now, the open water frog fishing, which how most of us are going to fish it, it has to do with fishing a frog in shallow water around targets and shade. When you're fishing a frog in an open water situation, like a typical man-made lake that doesn't have grass, shade is everything. So what I'm looking for is I go back into some shallow water bays or coves, and I'm looking like maybe there's some shade off the side of the boat dock, or maybe the way that the bank is, you know, angled against the sun, there's some shade coming off the bank. Or maybe there's an overhanging tree that's throwing a shade pocket this big around. I'm gonna throw that frog into that shade or around that target, and I'm gonna keep my rod tip low. This is what you wanna do, because sometimes a frog is hard to get started to walk side to side. A lot of times you'll throw it out there and you're working that frog, you know, like that. You're trying to get it go to side, and it'll just scoot like that. So you have to, when you're working a frog, guys, I can't really show you with the camera here, but make sure your rod tip is low and you're going boom, 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 boom. When that rod tip is low to the water, pointed down like that, it gets that frog starting, going back and forth just like a spook. It's sort of like fishing a spook. You just have to get the rhythm going on it. But you want it to go side to side like that, just like a Zare spook, and you want to work it around that shady areas and that target. Now, the difference is when I'm fishing a frog on open water situation, a lot of times I'm either using a fluorocarbon line or I'm using a lighter braid. I don't want like the 30 or 40 pound test if I'm working it in open water. I'll go down to 15 or 20 pound braid, or more likely, a lot of times I'll use like 17 to 20 pound test fluorocarbon. Since I'm not stopping the frog, I'm working it just like a spook, just like this. The fluorocarbon will not sink it because the frog's pretty buoyant. But a lot of times I got more confidence using fluorocarbon because, like I said, I don't think the fish can see it as good. It's just a confidence thing with me, but you just, whatever you're comfortable with on that. A lot of guys use braid. I prefer fluorocarbon with it. So you're just gonna have to figure out how to work it. Okay, now as far as the color combinations, guys, Mega Bass has got a lot of different colors in the big Gabot here. Two of my favorite ones are any type of the black or the white. I like the black if you have sort of a off-colored water situation and you've got a bright sunny day and you have shade. If you have like water visibility of 1.5 to 3 foot and you got a bright sunny day and you got some shade, they really like a black one. But if you have a cloudy day, a white one works good. I really, really like white during a cloudy situation. And if you happen to have some type of a really low light day, like it's raining, or maybe it's early in the morning and it's still dark out, some type of a brighter yellow one like that. But when you look in that Tackle Warehouse link, guys, you'll see a bunch of different frog colors. I'd just get something black and something white and pretty much call it good with that. Anyway, guys, good frog fishing tips. Hope it helps you catch some good ones, and we'll talk later.